It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that one and done train. With all the changes in college athletics, why not just add a new conference, right? The debuting UAC has a chip on its shoulder, and we'll rank all 9 teams into our world-famous tiers and discuss who we think will wear the inaugural UAC crown. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. My name is Heinrich, the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Joined on this episode, as in every episode, by the man known around here as El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship, at MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, the Comet Chaser, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, we used to be able to talk about 31 conferences. Mm-hmm. Now we got to talk about 32. I don't mind talking more college basketball, man. How about you?
Yeah, I don't mind it. And this is kind of a weird, right? Like it's a new conference, but really like a reshaped conference. And I think you're going to talk a little bit more about what all this is, because we know in college basketball, we love to talk about it for love of the game, right? And the games and the players, but it's all about the dollar bills, y'all. And yeah, I'll let you kind of break down how we got to this UAC, which is going to be interesting to say over the course of the next few years.
Indeed, as we have seen throughout the years, cash rules everything around me. Indeed, with the NCAA, with college sports, with college basketball, particularly on this show. We're going to break it all down, this new conference, the UAC. So make sure that you follow us on your favorite podcasting platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast. If you're on YouTube, the FSAN basketball channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you don't miss one single solitary second of our college basketball coverage. But we shan't wait any longer, Mike. It's time for the UAC breakdown. And new conference alert. New conference alert. But we all know that it's essentially the old WAC. They just, they used to have a W, and now it's just a U. So they took off. It's not a double U anymore. They went from a double. They just sliced off the front end of that letter, and then they sort of rounded out the, it's not a double V, it's a double U. And now it's just a U. UAC is now the WAC, and then basically the ASUN and Little Rock, right? So, I mean, we just take all that together and mush it all together in like a big pot pie, and that's what you have with the UAC. So it's kind of a separate thing here, though, right? So what we have here is it ends up being like a consortium, right? They sort of, both the ASUN and the WAC are sort of sharing central administrative structure, cross-conference scheduling, collective media rights, revenue sharing to save money. This is the first of its kind of deal in college athletics, and it won't surprise me to see more and more of these in place as we start to see the power conferences, the top conferences, sort of close things off and maybe become their own sort of a thing, right? We're going to see more and more of these type of deals. But the good thing is this is sort of a weird thing, right? So both conferences keeping their own NCAA automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, Mike, such a unique thing here. 9 teams battling for the league crown, though. So as we are recording this preview on August 6th, we're not live with the One and Done universe, but we're recording this one on August 6th. We're going to go ahead and break down this awesome UAC. So as we get into it, we know we have the low tier, the mid tier, and the high tier. Mike, that's how we do things on One and Done in our world famous tier. So let's start on the low tier as we always do. 3 teams down there. And it starts with Abilene Christian, a former WAC team, the Wildcats. What do you think their outlook is for this season?
Yeah, so ACU, man, a former WAC member, rough run last year with Coach Brett Tanner. One of the worst offenses in the country last year and couldn't stop turning the ball over. Hard to win games when you do that. And outside of guard Yaniel Rivera, 7 points, 2 assists, and big man Cade Horniker, who averaged 5 points, 3 assists. It's really just a bunch of fresh faces on campus, Jay. And like both of those guys really need to step up their efficiency if they want to improve this offense. There's just too many things that have to go right for the Wildcats to break through. So too many question marks for sure. I think we safely with ACU down here in the foundation tier, starting us out, along with West Georgia, the West Georgia Wolves, who were formerly in the ASUN. We do not have an official roster as of August 6th. We've got 90% of the rosters now, which is nice, but then there's that whole if 5 for 5 guys are coming back. We'll update that probably sometime in October. But this is the second year of Division I hoops for the Wolves. They really turned some heads last year under Coach Dave Moore, doubled their conference wins, and came close to finishing the year at 500. So, unfortunately, I believe they're headed for another rough one. So I don't think they're going to kind of improve upon that second year here in year 3. Williams Dryden and Josh Smith are out the door. Card Chase Lewis does return at the point, Jay, but just too many question marks here, man.
If Lewis can figure out a way to become a little more efficient, they might have a chance to escape this low tier. But he shot the ball 11 times per game last year in 28 minutes and only shot 37.8% from the field. Like, that's not going to get it done. Average 3 assists a game, turn the ball over 2.5 times. That's the sort of things that have to improve if this team hopes to take a step out of this low tier. And we'll see if North Alabama can jump up as well. The Lions, formerly an ASUN team, obviously. This was a complete 180, unfortunately, for Coach Tony Pujols' Lions last year, as they would go 4-14 in their previous conference after going 14-4 the year prior, Mike. So what was the reason for the fall off? And is that same reason why we have them in our low tier?
Yeah, and analytically, like you look at it, one of the biggest postseason fallers on KenPom. They were preseason 228. They finished 343. That was not good. I don't see it getting much better, which is obviously why we have them in the low tier. The roster's completely overhauled. They don't have a lot of size. They don't have a lot of guys that are going to be able to protect the glass. The outside shooting profile, Jay, is pretty woeful. One name, if we're looking for a breakout guy or a guy to talk about, DT transfer Dre Carter. He put up big numbers as a stretch big. They're going to need that and some from him. Without a couple of surprises on this roster, we're going to be looking at another down year here for North Alabama.
North Alabama in our low tier, joined by Abilene Christian and West Georgia, the foundation of the debuting UAC. So, we start with the low tier here on one and done. And, maybe one of these days, maybe we do the high tier first, right? But no matter what direction you start from, we're always going to have the old mid right in the middle. And that's where we are right now on this edition of our conference preview series, breaking down all 32 conferences across the country. And we are in the mid tier of the UAC right now. And UT Arlington is leading it off. The Mavericks enjoyed their time in the WAC. And now, just UAC here. KT Turner, man, the coach has done a great job over there in his first 3 years. Finished with 500 in a solid WAC. But the problem is everyone that played over 20 minutes per game is out the door. So what gives for the Mavericks?
Yeah, so a lot of turnover here, at least with key players, right? They will get Stoney Hadnot, who missed all of last year with injury after transferring in. So he's back, a really good wing with size. I am very intrigued by this transfer from Xavier. His name is Mir Poonam. Has a chance to be a big-time player in this league. He was seldom used in the Big East, but a couple of years ago, he was in the Summit with North Dakota. He averaged 13, 6, and 2. So I think here back in the mids, right, I think he's going to be able to put up some numbers, going to give these guys a floor. Alcorn State transfer big. Tyson McDaniels, really strong inside scorer and a rim protector, which is something that you really like to see in the mid-tier level. I expect these guys to hang tough nightly. So, we look at it here. We've got Eastern Kentucky, the Colonels here, joining UT Arlington in this mid-tier. And you got Coach A.W. Hamilton, who's had some really successful years with this program, but last year was his worst. They were 7-11 in the ASUN, a measly 351st in defensive efficiency. I think they're definitely going to improve in that area. They are bringing in Long Island transfer big Shadrick Lassou. He averaged almost a block and a half per game. He's a big body in the middle. So I think that's going to help with their rebounding and shot blocking, help improve that defensive efficiency. And he was kind of like that quiet, unsung hero for that fins up team, right? Finishing top 5 in the NEC and offensive rating, offensive rebounding percentage, and block percentage. So you also got a lot of hype around this JUCO guard wing, Justin McCarter, Jay. I think they've got enough here for Eastern Kentucky to be competitive.
You didn't think you were going to say fins up and not get me to do that on any show or anything that I'm involved in. But yeah, man, I think one other thing to look at with the Colonels is Jackson Holt shot 43% from beyond the arc last season. Does a really nice job spacing out that floor. These guys are going to be playing some winning basketball in the UAC. I have a feeling they're going to be competitive on a night in and night out basis. Finishing out our mid tier is Tarleton State, the Texans. Coach Billy Gillespie resigning due to medical concerns. And now Eric Haut stepping in as they enter UAC play. A new era for Tarleton State. Coach Haut, the only coach without 2 initials in his first name in this mid-tier, so I hope the other 2 don't bully him about that. But that's not his biggest concern. It'll be trying to get the Texans to make a jump from this mid-tier up to the high tier. Do they have the horses to do it?
Well, I mean, you look at it like he's coming from a really successful Utah State program, and the transfer class that they brought in were really talented. You got Caleb Blackwell from UTEP. He's an experienced floor general, 11-3-3 last year on 36% from 3. You got Isaac Harrell coming in from Elon. He's a floor spacing big. He was first in CAA play in offensive rating. He had 136.5 offensive rating.
Then I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
136.5 offensive rating. That is elite. Enough to lead the CAA, right? And then they bring in Javar Daniel, a rebounding and shot blocking machine. He was second in block percentage at 10% in the conference and 30% combined rebounding rate in the ASUN. So, like, the guy could even shoot it. He was 50% from 3 on 18 attempts. So if he even gets over the Heinrich line, which is that 35% mark at any type of volume, like, his game is just going to expand just that much more. And then Tarleton, being a sleeper, we got him in the mid-tier, Jay. I think you're right, man. They could challenge for this high-tier finish, man. But it's a new coach, a bunch of new players. I feel like we need to be a little bit cautious here.
Tapping the brakes on Tarleton State. I don't want to do it, but I understand with the landscape, a new conference, a new coach. But that to me almost is like a license to, go for it. And I think that the Texans might do just that. But for now, we have them in the mid-tier of our UAC preview, joined by UT Arlington and Eastern Kentucky. All right, 3 teams in the low tier, 3 teams in the mid-tier. If you like balance, this is your show, because there's also 3 teams in the old high tier. And let's get right to those 3 teams. And here is sort of the orphan, like the team that was not in the WAC, wasn't an ASUN team. Little Rock coming over from the OVC, not OVO for you Drake fans. OVC was where Little Rock came over from. And the Trojans making a coaching splash this offseason, getting Travis Ford back into the coaching fold after he spent a little bit of time working as an analyst for the SEC network. In his career, Coach Ford has won 57% of the games that he's coached, 491 wins in college. So we have Little Rock in our high tier. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, he's taken St. Louis, Oklahoma State, Eastern Kentucky to a combined 7 NCAA tourneys. And look, he was that type of resume. You're going to bring in talent from the portal. So you have this guard, Jalokai King from UMBC, averaged 14 points per game. Aaron Clark from Pepperdine, a really solid player, 15 points, shot 36% from 3. Tyrese Lacey is considered a top 30 JUCO player. Then you have former Pitt big man, the Pitt Panthers from the ACC, Papa Amadou Kante. He's a breakout candidate with his size and shifting down from the P5 rank. Same with Jemai Felt. He actually started his career at Temple. So this is a team that has size, a bunch of outside shooting with experience. They're definitely a contender in my eyes, along with Austin Peay, the Governors, former ASUN member. Coach Corey Gibson has this program trending up. They shared the ASUN regular season title, 15-3 run last year, to help them secure that. We don't have an official roster. They will return 2 of the best players in the conference, though. You have guard Zyree Collins, the freshman of the year in the ASUN, 13.5 points, 4 assists. What an awesome job by Coach Gibson to keep him in the fold. And you also have forward Rashad Marshall, second team All ASUN, 16.7 boards. Hey, you got those 2 guys, you're going to be rocking it out. And then they complement them with a couple of 6'6", 6'7" floor spacing transfers. Shamari Hugie from Marshall and Chuck Love from Loyola Chicago. I do have some concerns with depth and overall youth on this roster, though, here, Jay.
Yeah, but when you have a dynamic duo like Collins and Marshall, you're going to win ball games. You just are. And you're going to challenge for hardware. And that's why we have Austin Peay in our high tier. First of all, before we move on to Central Arkansas, you're not just going to say Papa Amadou Kante and Chuck Love in the same breath, basically,
Hey,
and expect
man.
me not. 2 of the greatest names in college basketball, both in our high tier, in our UAC preview. But we shan't forget the Central Arkansas Bears. Oh, no. And they'll round out our high tier right there. If you're watching on YouTube, it just flashed on your screen because our guy Napesy Hustle behind the scenes pushing those buttons. And if you're listening to us, just envision that menacing bear logo flashing up on your screen right there to finish out our high tier. This was the other team that tied for the ASUN regular season title at 15-3. Coach John Schulman conducted one of the biggest turnarounds in the country last year, a 13-game difference, Mike.
Yeah, massive difference, right? And, projected to finish in the bottom 10 in the country by KenPom in the preseason and finished a whopping 151st. Massive movement. And the main cog of that was Cameron Hunter. He did the old thing where he left and came back. And look, became ASUN Player of the Year when he came back. So there's a lot of talent still on this roster. He is gone, which is a tough replacement. Ty Robinson, though, has a chance to pick up right where Hunter left off. He was second team All ASUN, dropping 14, 6, and 2 on 37% from 3, nearly 2 steals a game. Then you also bring back guards Luke Moore and wing Cole McCormick, who are really good in supporting roles. But the guy that puts them over the top is kind of the same situation that Cameron Hunter did. He started his career with Central Arkansas, left, and actually went to Utah State and is now back, and that's Tucker Anderson. Tucker Anderson, a big man, about 6'10", can really shoot it. He averaged 15 points per game on 38% from 3 as a freshman a couple of years ago. I would say in this conference, but now it's obviously a modified conference. But still, a really solid player, primed to be one of the best players in the UAC.
It's going to be a fun team to watch, man. No doubt about it. Our high tier in our UAC preview contain the following schools. That's the Little Rock Trojans, the Austin Peay Governors, and the Bears of Central Arkansas. In our mid tier, we have the UT Arlington Mavericks, the Eastern Kentucky Colonels, and the Tarleton State Texans. And then down in the foundation of the UAC, the low tier, the Abilene Christian Wildcats, the West Georgia Wolves, and the North Alabama Lions. If we had to pit the tiers together in terms of intimidating mascots and ones that might do the most damage, obviously that low tier, the Wildcats, Wolves, and Lions, like, that's pretty, going after them. Who's gonna come get us? The Governors of Austin Peay? No, anyways, the Austin Peay's gonna win a lot of games. Maybe the Wolves are a tougher mascot. But I wanted to ask you, Mike, I talked about a high tier team there and a low tier team, but maybe there's somebody in the mid tier. I wanted to ask you, do you have a team in this conference that we don't have in the high tier? Obviously, man, when we talk about a team that is just super talented in Tarleton State, are they the obvious pick to you to sort of make a jump here, or does somebody else stand out?
Yeah, I think they're the obvious pick. Man, sometimes though, new coach, a bunch of new players, right? It just doesn't all click. But you look at it, and they got guys that can ball. So this is probably going to be one where we look back, Jay, and say this was a mistake. The Tarleton State, it was on the writing. They got guys that are high efficiency players. That's one thing to average, 11, 3, and 3, right? But you're shooting 36% from three from your point guard, right? It's another thing to add guys that average 17 points per game, but they shot 38% from the field. Now, I mean, Isaac Harrell, just a complete monster when it comes to efficiency, right? So, yeah, we might look at that and say, oh, man, Tarleton State, we missed the boat on that one. They were a high-tier type team. I kind of want to see it first. I feel more comfortable with Little Rock, Austin Peay, Central Arkansas. It's not like those teams don't have talent. So Tarleton's going to have to show us something during the season and in these matchups in order to get them up into that high tier. I don't think it's just given based on, you had 3 players. There's, you need a little bit more than that.
With that being said, who's your pick to win this league?
Yeah, I mean, my pick to win this league is probably going to be Central Arkansas. I think the momentum from last year, I think you have arguably the 2 best players in the conference. Ty Robinson, just so good last year. And you think about Tucker Anderson, just not a lot of stretch bigs with his size that can shoot it and are coming back to where they started. And we just saw what Cameron Hunter did when he did that. He was ASUN Player of the Year. So, yeah, really, really like the squad and the momentum that they built last year.
All right. Let's be honest here. You just picked them because they really had the toughest logo.
They got a tough logo. They got a tough logo.
That bear is intimidating for sure. I talked a little trash about the Governors as the mascot, but they're going to be my pick to win this league. Austin Peay, I really like what they're bringing back. When you have that sort of continuity at this level in a conference with a lot of uncertainty in it, having a little bit of certainty on that roster with the type of talent that they have makes me feel like they're going to make a nice run at this. So I'll take the Governors. Mike taking Central Arkansas to win. Who do you take to win out there in the one and done universe? Make sure you leave us a comment. Let us know who you feel like will take home that inaugural UAC crown. We would definitely love to hear from you about that. And whatever else, leave us a comment and say, hey, guys, when are you going to preview the SEC? And we'll tell you, hey, it's not going to be before, a couple weeks before the season starts. But, hey, if you're catching us in August when a lot of these are being recorded, we definitely would love to hear from you. You can hit us up on the comments of YouTube or the FSA and basketball channel. You can leave us a comment on a place like Spotify, right? We've uploaded like a dozen conference previews over there already at the time of this recording. So if you're catching this much later down the road, man, we probably got the whole world up there for you to watch. So get over there and absorb as much of one and done as you can. We're bringing you the heat, all the college basketball that you can handle, 52 weeks a year. And during the season, we're bringing DFS content. We don't call Mike the Comma Chaser for nothing. And then, of course, we got our news and notes shows. We're bringing you all the heat all year long. But thanks for joining us during our conference preview series as we broke down the UAC, the debuting UAC on this edition of the program. Thanks to our guy, Napsy Hustle, for pushing the buttons tonight behind the scenes. And thanks to our guy, Eric the Blue, as well, for doing everything that he does to help us be successful. Shout out to Mike El Capitan himself, the captain of the one and done ship at MC Holland 34 on X. That's not just Mike. That's the OG Money Mike, and that's Mr. Mike Holland. Stick around all off season as we're bringing you all 32 conference previews. We're going to bring you all the information you can handle, all the news leading up to the season. So right here on One and Done, that's the only place you need to go for all your college basketball needs. So until next time, my name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. We'll see you.